Hi, welcome to the first ever Presello podcast. My name is Julia and I host the Presello house tours on YouTube. So if you didn't know, Presello is a real estate company that focuses on selling houses and house and lots basically. So I have here my guests for today, and let's start with you. Your name is?
Well, I'm Ed. Hi.
Hi, Ed. Let's get into what they do for later.
Hi, I'm Ria.
Harvey.
Alright, it's like an AA meeting, just kidding. Alright, so Ed, what do you do?
Well, I'm actually a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I also do stand-up comedy, so I do both. And yun lang. That's basically what I do.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Hi, I'm an interior designer, so I do mostly residential and commercial projects. So I do design and build.
Design and build. Alright, and Marvin?
Real estate broker. So basically rent, sell, buy, consulting.
Alright, and yeah, again, so I host these house tour videos, but for today I'm hosting this podcast. So if you didn't get from now, we are generally going to talk about real estate, interior design, laws related to real estate and whatnot. So if these are the things that you want to hear or want to watch consequentially, please do stay tuned because hopefully this is going to be the first of many. Okay, so let's get deeper into the introduction. So let's ask Ria first. Ria, how did you get into interior design?
Well, actually, originally, my first course was really into finance, or as other people would call it, finance.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, what's the correct term ba? Finance or finance?
I say finance.
That depends where you're from. Like if you're from Lasal, they have a
Finance.
It's finance.
But I don't know, a lot of people, they say, they mishear it. They say, fine arts? Ay, hindi. Finance. Finance.
Okay.
So, well, actually, my first course was finance, and I worked in a bank for 2 years. But I realized that my passion was really into interior design. So I studied in PSID. I graduated with honors. I took the board exam.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, that's great.
Parang nahiya tuloy kami na.
Come on.
We're in the presence of greatness.
I'm sorry. I passed the board exam. I became a top notcher also.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And then I went into freelance, and then I started my own company.
Oh, great. Your company is called?
The New Maven Studio.
The New Maven Studio, Interior Design. Alright. But speaking of, in the presence of greatness, sino bang lawyer ang hindi great, di ba?
Well, madami. You'll get surprised.
Oh, actually.
I realized actually, maraming lawyers, they're not actually great, di ba? Sometimes you avoid them, di ba? Pero ako, I've been into litigation for some time. I graduated from Ateneo, tapos I put up my own law firm subsequently. But now I also do stand-up comedy, which is nice. And as regards real estate naman, I do handle concerns relating to that. I have a lot of clients. I prepare contracts, documents, and they normally would consult me as regards issues about buying and selling. So, pag may kaso, syempre, they go to me.
Of course, syempre. You run to a lawyer when you get into trouble.
Yes.
Alright. And of course, why real estate?
At first,
Of all the
I
sales.
graduated industrial design. Then I practiced it for 1 year. Then car sales and more of car parts.
Car parts.
And there's this story, but bakit ako napunta sa sales? It's because I have a friend na we meet every now and then. Tapos every time we meet, sabi ko, may bago siya kotse Tapos, bagong sapatos niya.
Parating may bago.
Meron itong kaibigan. I asked him, ba't ginagawa niya? Sabi niya, nasa sales siya. Ayan. Then that time kasi, syempre, who doesn't want to earn a lot of money?
Especially when you're young, di ba? You want to look at other
Yes.
people and say,
I was 23 that time. And then sabi ko, admittedly, I got this cost. Di ako mahilig mag-aaral. I mean, I just passed the course para lang matapos. So, I won't climb the corporate ladder. So I figured it out, at least sa sales, it's an equilibrium.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
kahit na cum laude ka, doesn't mean you're doing good in sales. So sabi ko, sige, try ko na, bata pa ako eh. I have a lot of time to raise. I can always go back to office job. Siguro.
You can always fall back to what you were doing
Yes.
first, but you might
I
as well
went to
try sales.
Yes. Went to sales, then so far, it was really, really hard. As in, may time na na-depressed ako kasi ang hirap eh. You put a lot of effort. Pero, ang tagal ng return. Kasi hindi mo ma-handle eh. Hindi mo lang kaya kabibenta. Kasi
Oo.
no idea sa
May instability, feeling
Yes,
of ano.
it's so hard. But then, I thought it was temporary for me. But then, once you're in, nakabenta ka na once, it's so hard to leave that industry na. Now, nagugulat na ako, 13 years na kami. So, yun.
Actually, marami siyang pera, marami siyang nabenta.
Cash
So,
hindi na
he's made a lot of money doing this.
Sakta lang.
But seriously, like, if you want to go into this, is this something you can actually recommend to people that they can actually engage in?
Yes. Actually, in sales, it's practice siya eh. You do it over and over again to talk to a lot of people. So, when I started, I started talking to myself sa mirror just to see how I look, ano yung body language
To practice
ko.
talaga,
Yes,
no?
Practice it talaga. So, I guess anyone can be sales, pero you have to be strong talaga. As in, matibay loob mo.
You have to have
Kasi-
grit for it.
Yes, grit talaga siya. I mean, I've seen a lot of, syempre, when I was in Ayala, ang bilis ng turnover ng tao eh. In 2 months time, bago laging sales team eh. Kasi hindi nila kayang tagalin.
Mm.
They're always, iba kasi may security na buwan may nakuha ka.
Oo,
So ito,
syempre.
minsan, well, I have known some sales na like 6 months walang benta, they're still there. So it's talagang, yan, you have to really be strong.
And
I
patient.
think you also have to deal with a lot of rejection. Tama
Oo,
ba?
for sure.
Tama ba?
Oo, para siyang pag-ibig na mas masaklap kasi ang daming rejections, hindi ba?
Yeah.
But you persevere, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, until you find the right
You
one.
keep pursuing people until you find
Oo.
someone who says yes, no? Grabe. And you thought your love life was hard?
Parang lagi ka naniligaw.
Nanliligaw, oo.
Every time.
My
Kaya mga ibang
goodness.
sales, ang galing niligaw.
So, parang ikaw, di ba?
Okay. Magaling manligaw
Siguro
yan, may
galing mo
asawa
manligaw.
na
Siguro,
nga eh.
we should ask him for advice. Paano ba ka dapat manliligaw? Paano ka magiging effective na manliligaw?
In sales, very important kasi yung the people who you want, the clients, kailangan kumulo na. They should feel comfortable with you. So, well, hindi natin maiwasan. You don't have to look very good and sobrang ganda or wow. But you look decent. Of course, you're selling, let's say, you're selling a 10 million house, pero you dress up like pupunta ka ng palengke.
Kumbaga hindi match.
No, hindi match yun. I mean, sad enough, pero usually kasi that's the first impression. You have to look decent. Why would I buy from you? Parang baka nakuha mo lang ako. That's not that.
Speaking of loko, maraming naloloko at nangloloko sa real estate, right? So, what are the dangers? Sige, dalawang side yan eh. Danger as a broker and then danger as a client. Ano yung mga possible na... What are the type of brokers that you should avoid? Ano yung, in your experience,
Brokers na you should avoid,
yung...
well, in short, yung mga dishonest brokers.
Yeah.
Some brokers kasi, siyempre siguro desperate sila. They just want to close that sale. So they do everything. They do everything they can to close that sale. Even if nako-compromise yung integrity nila, like honesty, yun, very common is yung nasusulotan.
What does that mean? Nagnanakaw ng client?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, like for said, ito, meron siyang client. Alam ko na nauna na siya, pero nakausap ko yung client. So ako, common practice to. Pero dito ka lang sa akin kumuha kasi meron ako extra 200,000 sa akin kumuha.
Okay.
So, parang relasyon din siya na bawal manulot. No? Parang
Oo,
pagmamahal.
etiquette siya eh. Sales
Ethical, oo.
Bad etiquette yun.
Okay.
Pero alam mo kasi yung problema minsan as a lawyer, nakakaso ako before, ang nangyari kasi, ang daming intimations ng agent, ng broker. He's promised a lot of things, which apparently are not really indicated in the deed of sale or in the contract. So, syempre, influenced by those promises, so my client now decided to buy the property only to find out that some of the things he said are not actually included in the terms and conditions. So, nagiging problema yon.
Oh, and of course, the broker was not liable for anything kasi wala nakasulat no?
Hindi, ang nangyayari kasi, under the law kasi, kung broker ka, if you're the agent, pag lupa kasi, dapat yung authority mo should be in writing and should be contained in a public instrument. Otherwise, the sale is void. Kasi di ba madalas, kunwari agent ako, so I'm the agent, tapos I sell the property. My authority is not in writing and it's not contained in a public instrument. The deed of sale will actually be deemed not valid. So what happens if somebody else would buy the property, siya yung mapaprioritize under the law. So, which is why agents should be careful na, sa bagay sa inyo kasi, yung sa industry kasi, there's already a system no? So, you're a licensed
pero madami
broker na, di ba?
Broker na hindi kumuha ng authority to sell.
O, dapat may authority to sell talaga. At sa problema pa nga, yung mga sinasabing terms and conditions. Like, for example, how should I pay this? What happens if I couldn't pay? Huwag kayong mag-alala, mabait yung kumpanya. They will allow you, di ba, mahaba ang grace period only to find out dun sa terms and conditions. Isang buwan lang pala, 2 buwan lang yung grace period. So, ang problema dyan, you have to understand that if the agent is authorized, he actually binds the seller. So, pag sinabi ng agent na mahaba yung grace period, mahaba dapat. Pero, if that is the case, he basically acted beyond the authority granted to him. So the seller can always say, wala kaming sinabing ganyan. So yun ay nagiging problema. So kung ikaw yung kawawang buyer ngayon, sabi niya kasi pwede daw sabihin ng seller ngayon, tingnan mo yung kontrata mo, hindi naman nakalagay na pwede. So which is why we need to be very, very careful then in dealing with all these things. So which is why I also encourage naman the agents, kasi in your desire to sell, you tend to exaggerate di ba? So always be truthful, di ba? Kasi mahirap yung mga promises or warranties you make.
Just
parang ganun. O just to close the deal.
So yeah, it's very dishonest nga. So sa side ni client, what can he look for para, alam mo yon, medyo masabi niya na, okay, mukhang legit naman tong broker na to.
No, siguro, hirap iwasan yan kasi once you're a scammer, you're really good at that.
That's true.
Parang cheater, once a scammer,
eh.
always a scammer. Ganyan.
And it's hard to detect kasi nga scammer.
Yes. So, I think the proper way is before, like, for example, when you're buying townhouse or house and that, the best way is to do your due diligence. So, kung hindi wala kang tiwala dun sa broker mo, mabilis lang mo certified true copy sa City Hall, you check their tax payments, tapos certified true copy kasi you can see kung may annotation sa title, kung may problema ba, it's doon naman
Sabagay.
Kung hindi ka magbasa ng annotations.
So as a client, you can also do background research, kumbaga.
May due diligence din, kumbaga.
Due diligence din.
I think isa pang magandang gawin, yung agent, always ask for that authority to sell because that would indicate whether or not this person is lawfully allowed to represent the seller. So, importante yun. Tsaka pangalawa nga yung annotation, which is very important. Dalawa kasing klase ng annotations May tinatawag na adverse claim, tsaka may tinatawag din tayong lis pendens, notice lis pendens. Yung notice lis pendens, ibig sabihin kung may kaso. Kung may kaso kasi relative to the property, it's indicated at the back of the title. Or yung adverse claim naman, if somebody else is contesting ownership of the property, he can always go to the Register of Deeds and cause the issuance of the adverse claim. Nakalagay doon, hindi siya may-ari niyan, ako dahil binili ko na yan pursuant to a deed of sale. Or kung naka-mortgage yan, naka-annotate din yan. Now, why is it important for you to check the annotations? Because if there are annotations, you're bound by that. So, for example, it is subject of a real estate mortgage. So, you can buy the property, but even if you transfer ownership, ang mangyayari, if later on, yung may utang couldn't pay, pagka pinorclose yan, wala kang magagawa because may annotation. Ngayon, pag malinis ngayon yung likod ng title, walang annotation, you become now a purchaser in good faith. So, ibig sabihin, if I buy it, I look at the title, it's clean. If I look at the four corners of the title, it's clean. It presupposes, therefore, that the property is okay. So if I buy it, somebody else now would surface later on and say, teka muna, akin yan. My right is stronger than his, precisely because his right is not indicated at the back of the title or on the title.
Ang hirap pala na, no? So, nangyayari pala yun. You buy a property and then years later, someone else will come along asking for your house kasi meron palang annotation doon sa deed mo.
Oo. Yung kaso ko ngayon, may kaso ko ngayon sa Malolos. Yung client ko, bumili na sobrang laking property. Ang ganda ng bahay eh. Sobrang maganda, mansion yung bahay. Kaya lang, hindi niya napansin, yung anak pala nung seller, may adverse claim. Claiming that there was a deed of sale that was entered into prior to the time he decided to purchase it. So ngayon, may kaso sila sa Malolos and it's taking some time. Alam mo naman yung kaso dito, parang pagong mabagal. So, nangyayari talaga yan. So, which is why we need to be careful.
I think that's another reason why it's very important for your broker to be completely honest with whatever he's selling, kung ano yung sitwasyon ng lot na yun. Kasi hindi naman
actually, kung if you're honest to your clients, ano rin yun, that's good for a broker kasi you build a long-term relationship. Kasi every time, like ako, I have a client na parang wala na siyang every time he buys a property, lalapit siya sa akin. Kahit wala akong property, nag-ask siya ng question. Kahit sa akin, I told him just ask me. Para lang, consulting na rin. Is this a good buy? Is this a bad buy?
May tiwala na rin no?
Sometimes even if like some houses, binibigay niya yung susi sa akin. Kahit ako lang ako yung nagbubukas ng bahay. Lahat ako nanuwag. Pagdating sa kanya, tapos na.
Siyempre, as a broker, nakakataba rin ng puso yun, of course, di ba?
Yes. Mga ibang clients ko, nagiging ko na sa kasan.
Super close na eh. Okay. So, kanina, I mentioned that there are two sides to being, seller and broker, di ba? So, ano yung dangers of a dishonest broker? Paano naman kung dishonest client? Does that exist? Meron bang ganon?
Yes. I've encountered the transaction. Usually kasi when you have a broker, pag pinag-meet mo na ang buyer at seller, it's not that deal na. Accelerate na lang, payments na lang. I have this instance na, akala ko okay na eh, kasi I'm the broker, buyer at seller. Pinag-meet ko sila, bilang yung seller ko, may buyer wants to pay cash. Pwede na natin, contract. On that day, meet kami, bilang ayaw na nung seller price. Gusto niya mas mataas.
Okay.
Created the problem. Siyempre parang napaya ako sa buyer. So, I think, talk for 6 hours. Kasi parang kakainitan na sila eh. Ang nangyari mo, just to get it through eh, matapos sila, baka sigawan sila. Kasi ang init ng usapan. I sacrifice my professional fee.
Para na lang matapos.
Oo, sabi ko, sige, you get what you get, ibawas mo na laban mo. So, super lugi ako. I think lower than 1/4 nakuha ko. I felt so bad kasi parang naloko ako nung and that's bad kasi nung mali ko doon, wala akong authority to sell. Which is, yun nga, I should have let them sign it. Pero,
parang informal agreement yun, na agent ka.
yes.
Pero actually, you have to, people should understand that when you talk about contract of sale kasi, particularly bentahan ng lupa, if there's already meeting of minds as to the price, so it already binds the client. So for example, the buyer and seller agree on 1 million as purchase price. Tapos when the time comes that you're supposed now to sign the deed, the seller now would say, no, I want 1.2 million. Under the law, he's no longer allowed to do that because there's already an agreement. Ang deed of sale kasi, yung perfection stage ng tinatawag ng kontrata is upon meeting of minds pag nagkasundo tayo. So, pag nagkasundo tayo, you can insist on that. Sabi mo, 1 million lang eh. And technically, you can actually go to court and insist on paying 1 million. And it binds the seller. Kaya lang syempre magtatagal. So, yun ang kagandahan ng magaling na agent, na broker, because he's able to pursue amicable settlement.
Yes, parang hindi ko inspired out na sacrifice just to para lang
Maayos na.
maayos agad that time.
Maayos for everyone. Nalugi ka nga lang.
Nalugi ako.
But,
That's so bad. Pero
yeah,
at least walang kasuhan, walang and very happy buyer. Yeah, he knows what I did.
Yeah,
And that created an
trust
advantage.
din.
Yeah.
Actually, what you mentioned earlier reminds me, slightly off topic, you know how minsan pag nag-shopping ka, tas dalawa yung, or merong price tag yung item na binibili mo, and then when you go to the till, it's a different price. Diba that's also a legal,
Paano
hindi rin
ulit?
pwede yun.
Paano?
Like, let's say, sa price tag nakalagay 100, but when you go to the point of sale or dun sa POS, iba yung price, 200.
Oh, hindi.
pwede yun, diba?
Kasi if it's advertised as, say, 100, so hindi mo na pwede dapat baguhin yun.
Even if may nagkamali dun sa tag, yun na yun nakalagay eh. So, it's the same with agreements in real estate. When you say it's a certain price, nagka-agreehan na kayo,
Yun na yun.
stick to that. Hindi mo na
Wala
pwede
nang
taasan.
So, interior design ba? May ganun din ba? Paano yung scamming sa interior design?
Paano yung scamming sa interior design?
Well, I guess with regards to interior design, it's really more of the client gets the design sometimes, and then
doesn't get back to you.
It doesn't get back to you.
Oh no,
So
that's intellectual
usually what
property.
we really do is contract muna. But sometimes you can't help it, and also on the side of the buyer or the side of the client, they're like, ayoko muna magbayad kasi gusto ko makita kung ano yung design nila. Diba?
Tapos yung pala humihingi lang ng
Tapos minsan humihingi lang.
Tapos hindi ka na babalikan.
Hindi ka na babalikan.
Pinaasa ka na. Ganyan. Ang hirap pa naman umasa. Hindi ba? Lalo na kung wala kang asahan, di ba?
Ang hirap umasa sa walang
pero
inaasahan.
sa interior designing, like for example, are you the one who also provides the materials needed? Or is it done by someone else? O doon ka lang sa design talaga?
Well, it depends on the client. Kasi in my case, I do design and build. So I do both. So I can also supply materials. But sometimes, a client gusto niya sariling contractor niya. So of course, okay lang.
Okay lang, design ka lang.
Design lang.
Yung design lang yung bayad sa'yo.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Yeah, actually, importante nga yung contract dyan and a staggered payment. Kumbaga, halimbawa, after
progressive
phase,
billings.
progressive billings there. It protects both of you.
Sa side of the designer, I guess, sometimes meron nga, maybe may kukuha ng down payment and then hindi na sila babalik with the designs or with the drawings. May ganun.
May ganun.
Oh yeah, I have a client nga pala na nangyari yun sa kanya. Parang nagbigay na siya ng down payment, but then wala nang nangyari after.
Wala na.
So, wala nang balikan.
Wala nang
Wala nang balikan, no?
So I guess sa lahat naman yata ng businesses, you really need to do due diligence.
Pero paano kunyari, let us say I'm the client, the design I want is baduy. It's obviously baduy. So, but I really insist on it. So, di ba parang hindi ka pa parang
yung design.
Tsaka malalaman nila kung interior designer dito. Tapos, baduy na baduy yung gusto niya. So, how do you deal with that?
For me kasi, I believe in making the clients happy. So, kung ini-insist nila yun, okay, sige, we can do this. I can siguro suggest something to make it less baduy, mas maganda, but, ultimately, it's still the client who gets to decide.
Yeah.
I have a friend, architect, sabi niya, swerte lang daw yung talagang 100% design niya.
Yeah,
that's true. Yun yung dream client mo eh.
Yes,
yung client na
that's exactly what
yung
ikaw
bahala ka na.
kung anong gusto mo.
Lets you, freely express kung ano gusto mo talaga.
Although double-edged sword pala yun. Kasi
Kung hindi nila gusto, it's your fault.
Or sasabihin na, ikaw na bahala. Tapos, anong budget mo? Diba?
Anong kaya mo?
Anong kaya mo? Tapos sabihin na, hindi, ikaw na nga bahala. Parang,
Ang mahirap din.
You need a basis for it.
Pero what happens if there are changes along the way? Like there's an agreement as to a particular design, and then while you're working on it, the client now is asking you to change certain details.
Revisions.
So how do you handle that? It happens all the time.
Yeah, revisions, normal naman yun in the design process. So it's fine. We as much as possible, we try to accept it naman.
Paano
But
kung
we
yung
limit
presyo,
the number of
ini-insist niya ganun pa rin,
revisions.
but you have to spend more. It can also happen, di ba,
yeah.
na yung changes that he wants or she wants would entail expenses.
Additional
More on top
revisions.
of pero paano kung ayaw niya? We have an agreement. We're supposed to stick to the... So how do you handle things like that?
Well, we explain to the client na, sa initial contract pa lang naman nakasulat dun kung ilan yung number of revisions pa lang eh. So, you can say something like that na ganito lang yung number of revisions natin, but if you insist on doing this other revision, it's
May
additional
additional.
cost na lang. Tapos it's not so it's just a percentage of the design fee naman eh. So it's still okay if the client really insists. Kasi I guess the point of that is para rin hindi mo patagal the whole process.
Yeah, yun yung nagpapatagal eh, yung revisions.
Yung revisions.
Gawin natin bago.
And also, we let them sign the working drawings. Yung final drawing.
okay.
So, dapat, kung
Yun
ito na yung
yan,
final, yung bibigay sa contractor, yun na yun.
Yun na yun. Oo nga naman, parang clear, di ba? Walang pabag. Clients, especially in interior design pa naman, are so finicky and sila yung parang sa huling meeting, they say one thing na sige, okay na yan, and then the next meeting, hindi yan yung gusto ko. But,
That's why it's
So-
nice to have like a record of everything the client